All right, Ian Trottier for here for Discuss Your Truth. Wow, so much going on, guys. Just way too much going on. A lot of things happening coast to coast right now as I speak. Stay tuned here. Louis Gohmert. My understanding that Louis Gohmert here in about 20 minutes, folks, on Capitol Hill is going to be holding a press conference to support the work of Jason Fick's Social Media Foundation. Jason is challenging the United States Constitution over Section 230 and the ridiculous censorship that's happening in our uh, social media per se. I am going to bring on who's been standing by for quite some time, a guest, a pastor, um, Michael Petro. I'm going to bring him on right now for you folks and give you those of you that are religiously aligned, give you Michael's perspective of what is happening right now in your country, and take the time, if you would, to please go to my website iantrottier.com and support a patriot by the name of Mike Lindell, and he offers great products for your bedroom, or you're traveling, whatever it may be, pillows, and he's got towels, um, he's got slippers. I've got a pair of his slippers, a couple pairs of his slippers, and they are incredible. Use the code Trottier, Trottier. Use the code Trottier for a very large discount. The other product I exhort and recommend you get is my Chronic Silver. You see that at iantrottier.com. My Chronic Silver. I've been using it now for some time. Really great product. All right, Michael Petro, ladies and gentlemen, bring him on right now as he has been graciously and very patiently standing by. Michael Petro. See if he is available. Ian Trottier for Discussions of Truth. Okay, let's see, you get that number right.
I'm sorry.
Okay, maybe I got the wrong number, which would not surprise me. There it is. Okay. Michael Petro, welcome to Discussion of Truth, sir. Thank you for standing by.
That's all right, Ian. How are you doing, brother?
Well, I'm doing just fine. I apologize for keeping you waiting. It's about 30 minutes you've been on hold. How are you? Please introduce yourself for listeners. Tell us what you've been up to.
Well, my name is Michael Petro. I'm a pastor here in Houston, Texas. We also have a church in California. Been doing a lot of the conservative rounds within the conferences that have been going on over the United States, especially the Reawakening. And we've also been doing our own program, VOH Radio. But it's a very unique time that we're in. Obviously, all your listeners know the things that are going on. And more, the podcasters are out there bringing an awakening, I believe, to so many people and bringing information to so many people that wouldn't get it on mainstream. And it's important because, we're in a fight for information right now. We're in a battle for that. We need to realize that this country has been strong because of free speech, and now we see that constitutional right has been given away or taken away from us. And honestly, the politicians, all of us need to hold our politicians accountable to that, because we need to start sending out letters, ringing them and saying, what's going on. But really, Ian, because I'm a pastor, I'm always looking at the perspective of, what does the church say? Is there anything in the Bible about this? What we're seeing today. Recently, I was speaking with Dr. Brian Artis, and Brian was telling me what was going on with, a lot of the drugs that they were using and requiring to be used as far as the vaccination process. And I began to realize how bad, things were with that. Then recently he released a video on this venom and talked to a few other doctors. I was with Dr. Rashid Buttar last week and talked to him. He's in agreement. And if you go back, there's information all over the internet about, when the COVID first broke out, many people, even doctors in China, were saying that uh, vaccination or that the sickness was literally the COVID was coming from a serpent or some type of venom. So I don't understand why there are people coming in and making a big stretch out of this, because I don't believe it is at all. I believe these are agents that really aren't understanding what's going on.
So the cure was
Yeah.
developed prior to the release of the virus. Is there some type of evidence that would suggest that? And if this cure being the vaccine, which isn't even a cure, right? It's not even a vaccine. We know that. It's
Yeah.
an inoculation. It's an injection. Um, this is based off of from Brian's Dr. Artis, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Artis, from his research, Michael. This is based off of venom from a serpent.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Actually, many people have said it. Now, doctors are taking a look into it and surrounding themselves with other doctors that understand this and scientists. But interestingly, this they're saying that this type of bio weapon, it has to be. It really has to be a weapon, because for COVID, either from a Wuhan bat or, I mean, they could bite you. Same thing with a serpent. I mean, you don't see people getting bit by serpents getting COVID, right? Uh, this stuff has been laced, with proteins in order to get into our system for our cellular structure to receive it. And that's the big problem that I see right now, because all of a sudden we're going from something that has come out of nature to something that has to have been man-made. And at this point, I don't think our government or our scientists are that naive that they would say that. But again, you know, this goes back into scripture, and people are shocked at what the scripture says about this event. Uh, if you go into Deuteronomy chapter 32, right? Well, first we know that there was a serpent in the garden that beguiled Eve. And it's an interesting thing in chapter 3, verse 15 of Genesis. It says that God says that I'm going to put enmity, war between your seed and her seed, meaning the seed of Satan and the seed of the woman. This goes all the way into the book of Genesis. But if you look at that word seed, it's literally speaking of sperm, or if you understand what's in the sperm of the man, it's his DNA. And this DNA question has been all through scripture. And the reason being, you see this is, and later on it talks about how the sons of God came down and were taking wives to themselves, the daughters of the earth. Well, the sons of God, many people understand them to be the Nephilim, which were considered fallen angels, or satanic things. Um, in that, there's two individuals that back in the 60s, Anton LaVey, Aleister Crowley, who started the Satanic Church. And basically what they did is they took the Bible and wrote it in reverse, meaning when the Bible says thou shalt not kill, they write thou shalt kill. So basically they did the opposite of what the scripture says, which is actually a carnal interpretation for the most part of scripture, right? For the lust of the flesh. But They said that these aliens, which we call aliens, or Nephilim, were really fallen angels, and eventually the whole world would know that. So how would they know something, and how would they believe that? You know, if the church doesn't, and the church needs to wake up to this. You have right now. You have, if you ever get a chance to read the book, any of you that are out there on the Exo Vaticana or Petrus Romanus. It's two books that were written about Putnam, I believe, is the name of the author, about the, the Roman Catholic Church and how they've had contact with these fallen ones, or another generation, aliens for some time now. Actually, they've been watching them on a telescope uh, that's out in Nevada, and you can read all about it. It's there. The acronym of that telescope is called Lucifer, and I don't think that's a mistake. But this is not something that is false information anymore. This is open information. There's things going out that they're openly saying now. But again, when we get into the book of Genesis, we see that there's this battle of seeds, or DNA. And I was just recently listening to a conference that was done in Europe just a few weeks ago, and they're openly talking about this stuff. A guy by the name of Yuval Noah Harari, Klaus Schwab, Noah Harari is openly saying that they're going to they're not only going to change our DNA, but they're going to make us like supercomputers that we become mainframes. And this isn't stuff that's in the future. This is already happening. They're saying that we're all going to look back and realize this all happened in COVID. And this isn't something that is far-fetched. This is something that's here. We know that the mRNA technology, which is put out by Elon Musk, he has the copyrights to it. He literally said, if somebody wants to be a butterfly, we can turn them into a butterfly. It's a wake-up call, because there is a battle right now for us. But interestingly enough, isn't it interesting that God would speak about this in Genesis? Actually, Genesis breaks down in Hebrew to the word genos, which means the genes. And even in the book of Deuteronomy, it's telling us, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 23, and I will heap disaster upon them. I will spend my arrows on them. Arrows just speak about the word of God. And they will waste by famine and be consumed by a plague of bitter destruction. At the teeth of the beast, I will send upon them. So he tells us, what the Lord is telling us, what this venom what this beast is, with the venom of a crawling thing of the dust. So here Deuteronomy says there would be a plague released, and it's talking about the end of the age, by the way, because the book of Revelations picks up on this. It's the Song of Moses. It's the last thing Moses says before the Lord takes him, that there would be a plague of venom. And we're watching it right now, because they're literally telling us, thank God for Brian, because he literally, he feels it was shown to him divinely. I do also, but things are happening, and we really need to wake up. That the Bible not only tells us what's going to happen, but it's telling us the solution to all of that also. This is all very heavily typed and shadowed in the book of Revelation, the New Testament also.
So the one of the elements, Michael, of the productivity, if you will, of the Constitution that the country has built itself on, are kind of basic elements, right? That are right now totally being attacked.
Yeah.
Freedom of speech, freedom of press. But you bring up a really good point here, in that really the existence of this country is based off of freedom of religion, right? I mean, based off of the Protestants aboard the Mayflower, and is do Americans need to wake up to this, in your view, Michael? That their religious freedoms are being taken away? Is
Well,
that is that
there's no, Ian, there's no doubt. I mean, look, I mean, I don't know how many times I've been taken down off of YouTube. I can see stupid stuff on there that's ridiculous, TikTok or whatever. But if you put your Christian values and you put your belief on there, and you speak anything against it, just go up on YouTube and for those of you there, put up a video saying that I believe that the COVID-19 is the serpent DNA, and I guarantee you, you're going to get knocked off here in a heartbeat. We are definitely being attacked, and the Constitution was written and framed by men of God, pastors, even the first shots of the Revolutionary War was, we know the story of Paul Revere, one by day, two by night. The first place he came was a church. And at that church was a man of God, a pastor, that he told them they were hiding the men that signed the Constitution. They were hiding them, and he said, "You better get them out there and out of here and hide them." And basically, that pastor's response was, "Me and my church have been prepared for this,"
Hmm.
meaning we are prepared to fight. And they fought the first shots, or they fired the first shots of the revolution. And we got to understand that our freedoms were based in other men's blood. And I'm not just talking about the founding of our country. I'm talking about men that fought for freedom in the Second World War. My father was one of those men. Um, Men in the Korean conflicts, Vietnam. What were they fighting for? They were fighting for, our country. They were fighting against tyranny and those that had suppressed the freedom of speech. And we need to understand that as Americans, the whole world right now is being suppressed and being lied to. A lot of people are waking up because of men like yourself, because of men that are out there getting this word out over the internet. Joe Rogan gets more views, 3 times more views, or 11 times more views than CNN and MSNBC. CNN lost 90% of its viewership, and I think 86% for CNN. Why? Or I'm sorry, MSNBC. People know that they're being lied to, and people are tired of it. And if it wasn't for shows like yours, if it wasn't for shows like mine and those that are out there that are really bringing just truth, we're not trying. We have targets on our back. Why are we doing this? We're definitely not doing it because we want to get famous or anything. It's because of the seriousness of the time that we are in. Most of the people that are out there doing these podcasts are patriots that have been in Iraq or Afghanistan. These are men that are and women that are need to understand and know that our country needs informed right now. I was just in a hotel of a lobby, and I'm listening to this guy talking about getting him and his kids vaccinated.
Hmm.
I couldn't believe it. I know Lee Dundas, the records that are coming out that she's putting. If you ever get a chance, you got to have her on your show just to talk about the military and the sickness in the military right now is astronomical. And again, they're hiding it. But lawyers are standing up. They've gone to Congress. Congress is listening. Our country needs to be, ready for whatever happens. We got things going on right now in Ukraine and that. And a lot of people don't understand Ukraine is a hub for the globalist movement. Now, the Bible also talks about that the enemy would try to bring in one world government in. And we're looking at that right now. When you hear Biden, all of a sudden, one week, you hear Biden talking about the New World Order. It's biblical. Yeah, Australia talking about all these other nations, and they're trying to establish something that in the Bible is very clear about what we call the end or the prior to the millennial kingdom or the end of what is this age. It's not the end of the world. It's a world where this garbage is gone.
So yeah, it's an end of an era, perhaps.
Exactly. That's actually the word used in the Bible.
The Michael, you talk about in your experience as you travel and you speak and you do your show, you think Americans are waking up? Give some examples of that, Michael. What does that look like? How do you know that? What are you seeing?
Well, you know, earlier, the beginning of this year, and late last year, we started doing shows, or we started going out, and we were really beginning just to get B-roll for television shows that we were getting ready to go on to. That we're right now buying the studios for that. And we were going to the Reawakening conferences with Clay Clark and General Flynn and many of those people. When we were there, I just noticed there wasn't many people there. There were people that were sort of depressed in a slumber. People that weren't seeing what was going on. Now we just were there last month and actually last week, and there's a whole different attitude. There is a group of people. They're up. They're awake. They're seeing what's going on. They're getting the word out. Shows that are going out, talking to people. I got on a plane and in Dallas going to Tulsa. I had 3 people approach me about what we're doing, how they can get more information, and you see that people are becoming engaged. Young men down in San Diego County literally started going to the governmental board meetings and saying, "Hey, well, you can't do this, you can't do that." Next thing you knew, he was bringing about 2,000 Christians into those board meetings that only lasted maybe an hour. All of a sudden, we're going from 10 o'clock in the morning to midnight, all because people got involved. And a young kid, 30 years old. I mean, he looks like a surfer. His name is Sean Frederick. When you look at him, he's just some kid, some beach kid, right? Got dreadlocks and everything. He's changed San Diego. He's held them accountable uh, for what they're doing in the city of San Diego, and it's changed the direction. And we all can be doing that in our cities. We just need to be getting together. And there's a force that's out there that, believe me, these people are afraid of, and that's the church. We need to know and get the church mobilized. And I believe we're in an awakening, not only just an awakening, but a revival that's already unfolding within the church. And I believe that's going to affect our country because our country is built on Christian principles. And if the church doesn't get in alignment, that's going to be the problem. The church is probably the largest voting bloc in this country by far. And that's, that's something that Donald Trump realized. That's what Donald Trump told on was the church. And he got a large block of it. They didn't trust him at first, but now a lot of them have turned their ideas. Glenn Beck, one of those guys, he was a never Trumper. Now, he's a Trumper. But, even men like General Flynn, they're getting into this fight. And we need to realize that I don't think that it's the end. I think it's just the beginning of something much greater. And all that it takes is for the information to get out. And we need to start rallying people to get that information out. Whether it's, you don't have to have a podcast, but you definitely can go to board meetings in your city and start rallying people, your friends down there. You definitely can, get your friends or your family, your loved ones to start listening to these podcasts. I never thought we would grow like we did, and we've exploded. And also podcast people out there getting the news out. And honestly, I believe it's the next. I believe people that we see right now that are doing these podcasts are going to become the next people that we're going to see in the news that is going to be giving information because people trust them. And we're going to see news agencies come out of nowhere that I think is going to change our country and change the world.
Michael, do Americans, are they successful in this awakening, this movement of questioning the narrative, or are they successful in regaining control of their country if we approach if we approach the narrative that the election was rigged, and I addressed a book called Vote Scam. The Collier brothers out of Miami traced a coalition of mainstream media, being ABC, NBC, in cahoots with IBM, and having rigged elections back to LBJ. Yeah, of course, voter fraud is something that civilizations have battled with, I'd assume, for the history of modern man, at least. But do Americans overcome this corrupt system that has manipulated their freedoms? Do they properly organize and take their country back? In your view?
There's no doubt. I believe that's going to happen, and I believe it's already happening. You have people fighting. One of those men is General Flynn. He's fighting for election integrity. They're already strategizing, doing stuff. Dinesh D'Souza put out an incredible documentary that's coming out here that they have video. Uh, this um, video that they've done is going to change the way people think. Also, when you take a look at Willis, he has a video out that you can watch
Mickey
on the.
Willis.
Yeah, Mickey Willis. I know Mickey also. His program, his documentary on the COVID, how through COVID they used it to sabotage the elections. They used it to uh, bring this in, get people's attention off of it. The documentary is called Plandemic. Those are things that I've pushed out to friends, family, and there's a massive change. Being a pastor, my church is a lot of different people. I have Democrats, I have Independents, I have Republicans, right? And I've seen a massive switch of Democrats stepping over into the Republican Party. The Governor Abbott out in Florida said the same thing. There was a huge number of people, registered Democrats, that are now registering, that have left California, left Oregon, gone to Florida, gone to Texas, that they are not registering Democrat, they're registering Republican. I was just even the youth right now are I was just watching the youth, which we thought are the problem. They are saying that the Biden administration is giving them no hope for their future because they see how destructive it is. They are changing over. I'm watching Black America. A lot of my friends, Black pastors that were Democratic, they're saying, no, Mike, we see what you've been saying. We see it. We see it. We're patriots. I think there's a whipping coming here in midterms. If they're not allowed to cheat, we're going to see something that we've never seen before. I think a lot of people are being prepared right now. They already knew what happened 2 years ago, and they're preparing. They're watching for that. They're not going to be so easily pushed out come on. Some of the largest voting polls, the Republicans were kicked out, and voting went on in the middle of the night when they said it was supposed to go down. That makes it illegal right there, Ian. You have to have people from both party to count those votes. And so I talked to Patrick. Byrne Patrick was part of the counts of just the mail-in ballots out of Maricopa County, and he's saying the same thing: mail-in fraud, fraud. The police officer, the sheriff up in Wisconsin, it's coming out more and more, and I really think the dike has broken, and it's getting ready to bust wide open. I think they're trying to put fingers in the dam, and it ain't going to last too much longer because people are tired. People want to know the truth. When you have 40% of the Democratic Party, the last I seen, somebody told me it was up to 60, believes that there was voter fraud, and they're tired of it. I mean, come on. When you have the other side saying this is wrong, I know I come from Southern California. I moved out to Houston about 3-4 months ago, and I seen one Biden sign, the whole time in Southern California. One, but I seen Trump flags, trucks running around with Trump flags on it, Trump flags, and every one of my neighbor had a Trump flag. I was sitting there, I said, there's no way the Democrats can win this. There's just no way. Because look at everybody has these stickers on. I've seen a few stickers for Biden, but I mean the guy is a wreck. I mean, it's time for everybody to get into the fight. It's just we can't sit around and watch this anymore. We all got to get involved, whether it's in our school boards, whether it's in our political offices, with writing letters to our senators, our congressmen. Things are changing, and we just can't sit back and watch no more. If those men fought with guns and they fought with their lives, we can definitely fight with pens.
What happened in Cuba and Venezuela in the past century, the past 60 years, 70 years, is attempting to happen here in the U.S., in my view. And there's a historian, Servando Gonzalez, that was educated at the University of Havana, has said that to me a short while ago. And here's the difference, Michael, is that this isn't Cuba and this isn't Venezuela. And this is a different country. Let me ask you this. You now have the average American saying, okay, wait a second. I can't believe what's on mainstream. Okay, let me let that sink in. Okay, right. Okay, I can't believe what's on mainstream.
Well, think about that, Ian. What came out with Disney and that, they're going under because of their views with the LGBT. If they're going under, if they're losing people, if CNN Plus is crap, it's done, it's over. That tells you something about the morality of our country, and it's still there. People don't want it.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. That's right. People understand that good, wholesome, solid families is what makes any of these communities great and makes the country great as a whole. And now those are being destroyed. But help listeners understand what is this new world order? What is this? What is it? I mean, it's in your view, what is that?
Well, I mean, you can go and see lately they've been coming out and talking about it, telling everybody what they're going to do. I mean, if you want to find out what's going on, type in Yuval Noah Harari, Yuval Noah. It's a pretty easy name, and Harari, Harari. I mean, these guys are literally talking about a great reset where basically they're going to control us through our RNA, DNA injections. They're going to change us. They're going to control our mindsets. They want to put a DNA in us that basically blocks out any resistance, any type of fighting ability. Transhumanism, that's what they're calling it. And you have to understand something in that transhumanism. It's a marriage between technology in us, in our mind, in our flesh. And there's those that are already saying that it's been done. Even their side is they're saying that there's stuff in the vaccines. So they want to transform us basically into slaves, that we will do and say what they want to do. They want to depopulate. If you don't believe it, go look at the stones that are down there in Georgia. They're telling you what they're going to do. They're going to tell you they're environmentalists. They're going to tell you all this stuff that the earth is falling apart, global warming. Well, there's scientists out there that are saying there's no proof of global warming, because as soon as you go up to the ice caps in the North Pole and start taking ice samples, you can go back thousands of years and see that the carbon in the ice is the same today as it was 20,000 years ago. So that's baloney. I mean, people need to wake up to to what is really happening. And there's an agenda. They're using those things. Oh, we got to become a one world order so that we can all get together to stop this global warming or we're all going to die. Well, that's their tactic, fear. The tactic is trying to pull everybody into an agreement that we're all going to die if we don't get this done. And you need to get this vaccination. You need to get this whatever, this new RNA in you or DNA in you so that you can be part of our program. But who's going to say you're going to be part of it anyway? Because they're talking about having a world population of 500 million, and that's next to nothing. And they want to control everything. It's basically the opposite. You'll lose all human rights. You'll lose everything. And again, the technology is not coming. It's here. They're already doing it. They're already saying that COVID would be the catalyst of it. Well, if COVID is man-made, then they've done COVID in order to get their way. That's bottom line. And there we have enough proof. I believe that wholeheartedly. When they're not letting information out about our military, when the DOJ is hiding information, when our government is hiding information and not letting it out, when we have fact checkers from China fact checking us on Facebook and YouTube, don't tell me we have freedom of speech. And these are just facts. It's against the Constitution for them to do it. And that's why they're doing it out of other countries, so they don't get in trouble for it. Basically, we need to understand that what the Bible talks about, the mark of the beast. I don't believe the mark of the beast is anything other than man submitting himself to these beastly natures, to this carnal world, and submitting himself over to the governments of this world instead of giving himself over to God. I mean, matter of fact, the Bible actually teaches that at the end of the age there would be a false teacher, a false prophet, and a false leader. And we're watching that today, a false one world government. And I mean, Harari, he's talking about, he said, Jesus died 2,000 years ago. Now we need to get rid of his body. We need to get rid of all the Christians, the bodies of the church. We will need to get rid of the church. The reason all of it, we had troops for years in Afghanistan and in the Middle East and Iraq. Never heard anything about what was going on over there. You rarely seen, a newscast about those places, maybe once every week or once every 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, every day, our newscasts are blowing up about Ukraine. Ukraine is the hub of the globalist movement. It's corrupt in Ukraine. That's why the Bidens were in the Ukraine. I mean, come on. Isn't this where we should wake up? Hunter Biden, all this stuff of him and Burisma, Ukraine, the old man, all this stuff. And all of a sudden, we don't care. Ukraine's not a big deal anymore, but look at it now. Something must be going on if we're so, believe me, I'm not for people being killed and slaughtered, but in all honesty, they're finding stuff in Ukraine there that they shouldn't find. We've admitted to having labs there. We've admitted to producing things there, even when our government was said, no, there isn't. And now it's coming out as fact. Labs, COVID labs. And here, it was Putin that was saying it was there. And how's Putin telling us the truth and our own government is being caught in a lie? So, people need to understand this was the center of a lot of garbage. And that's why it's on the news all the time right now, because people need to realize what's going on. Honestly, as soon as I seen MSNBC and CNN blowing it up, I realized something wrong. There's something wrong there. Something's bad there. And now it's all coming out.
The false narrative, perhaps, that's being built.
Exactly, Ian. That's exactly right. There is a false narrative. But we've been getting false narratives for, 2 years now, consistently. COVID, this drug, that drug. It's all false narratives.
Michael, what do you make of this? Just get your opinion here. What do you make? You're talking about freedom of speech, freedom of press. What do you make of this Elon Musk purchase of Twitter? What does that mean to you?
Honestly, I'm praying for Elon Musk. I'm afraid of him in some ways because of his he owns the technology, or he owns the patents for the DNA, the mRNA. That's his. That's a scary. Listen, for those of you that are out there that don't understand this, mRNA is used in order to inject stuff into your DNA that normally couldn't get in. Normally, COVID from bats cannot get into you, even if they bite you. Normally, COVID from venom bites cannot get into you because your DNA will fight it. But now they're using these spike proteins, and they're using this DNA that it fools your DNA, and basically your DNA opens the door to let stuff in that normally it would fight against. And this is where the danger is. So when we talk about in this man, I seen him on another podcast where he was talking about, the principles of Jesus. He said, I'm not a Christian, but if Jesus saves, I want saved. I want Jesus. And I think really somebody really needs to sit him down and have an educated talk with him about the scripture. I think this man is close. He said he had in his life, he had a crisis where he was asking what life was all about. And I think we all had that at one point. Life doesn't make sense. Honestly, if evolution is true, which this is being disproven all the time, then we don't even need this conversation. We don't even need to fight this battle, because what purpose is there behind it? Because we're all going to die, and that's going to be that. And whatever this earth turns into, it's irrelevant, because eventually everybody else is going to be dead anyway. But if we're talking about the corruption of men's souls, and there's definite proof that I can see where Disney, uh, Netflix, and these people they have an agenda to corrupt young minds, because young minds, most of us, the stuff we deal with in life, our genetic DNA has grabbed it by the time we're 9, 10, 11 years old. Stuff we do today, we got it back then from our parents. Um, they understand this. They've studied this. That's why they're trying to get into our schools. That's trying what. All right, you want to teach this stuff? Let's teach it in high school. No, they want to go back to elementary school and teach our children perverted stuff that they don't need to be learning. Then they want to give it to them even before that with their cartoons and everything else and movies coming out of Disney. But people are saying, no, I'm not going to let this happen. It's programming, and it really is. That's one of the things that this Jewish scientist is saying. Yuval Harari, he's saying that he said there's the binary code that you have in computers is the same way our mind works. Isn't that an interesting thing? So basically, it's no problem for them to read your thoughts, and that's what they're saying they're going to do. They're openly saying it now. This isn't conspiracy theory. This isn't man-made stuff. Maybe last year it was, but now they're coming out and telling you what they're going to do. So it's here and it's happening.
Okay, as we wind down here, Michael, you brought up a lot of great points for listeners to consider and think about, and I want you to direct them to your work and how they can find you, website, how they can donate to you. But I want to kind of advance this a little bit and say, okay, a rigged election. I've already asked you if America can come together and be successful to weed out this tyrant that is now inside of its shores and apparently, no longer secretively, now coming out, like you say, making it very apparent that they are here, and stating, basically almost stating what they want. um, Americans organize, they gather, they reclaim their constitutional rights, they liberate, if you will, the country. What's the next thing? Well, how do you prevent the enemy from rebuilding itself?
Well, again, 50. This number is crazy to me. That 15 million Christians did not vote in the last election. 15 million. Some of the cities like Phoenix and counties, Maricopa, for instance, they were only lost by a few thousand votes. Obviously, I don't believe they were lost, but the proof is on the contrary. But 15 million more Christians vote instead of staying home, or independents that really are Republicans, conservative. Um, they can't cheat. They can't cheat. Uh, uh, when we look at that, think about this. All of a sudden, the swing states, the main ones, shut down for 3 days with computers, so-called computers, right? Come on. We were counting by hand ballots, and we had those hand ballots counted and done the same night for the last 50 years, right? Then all of a sudden you have a supercomputer counting the votes, and you need 3 days because of all the new votes or whatever. Impossible. It's unconceivable. It's just ridiculous. It does not make sense one iota. So when we take a look at that deception, I believe if more people get involved, more people say no, you get involved. Good friend of mine, she goes to my church, Bianca Garcia, she's the head of Latinos for Trump. Latinos are swinging because they are conservative in their nature. From the Democratic Party to the Republican. I think a lot of these people coming across the border is going to backfire. We need to understand that your church need to get involved. You need to hold your pastors accountable. Sorry. I mean, the pastors got to quit being sheep, and they've got to start getting up and saying stuff and be the leaders, because I don't care about the 501c3s. Our Constitution, the separation between a government and religion had nothing to do with religion staying out of government. It had everything to do with government staying out of religion, because that was the problem in Europe. We have rights, and we need to speak up with those rights. And I'm telling you, I see a tide that's going to turn. But honestly, too, Leon, there needs to be repentance. People need to come back to our spiritual roots. And I'm not talking about going to dead churches. I'm talking about finding those churches that are alive, that Jesus is still moving in those churches, signs, wonders, and miracles. And this country will rewrite itself. There's too many. I know that your program is more mainline, but there's prophetic words about our country. Many men, just not. A lot of people are familiar with Kim Clement, which he said this would be seen, and this would happen, and it would be corrected. But I do believe it's going to take us to get involved. And brother, I appreciate what you're doing. I thank God for men like you that are willing to stand up and get into this fight. When I started getting out and talking about the seed and all this stuff, man, you cannot believe the backlash, the fight. People saying that they were pastors and find out they're newscasters from news agencies. It's unbelievable what's going on. But you know what? You just got to be willing to take it on the chin and keep on going in. So.
Yeah, well said. And I've been communicating with folks in California the past few days, and there's a big movement there in California of people that are sick and
Yes.
tired of this regime, these socialists that have taken over that state. And people are saying, hey, wait a second. You had one of the greatest conservatives, and I try not to take sides politically. I just align myself with the Constitution. But yeah, it is the Democratic Party or the majority that, apart from rhinos, that are adopting these socialist ways. And in California, people say, "Hey, wait, this produced one of the greatest conservatives the country's ever seen in Ronald Reagan." Yet these
Yeah.
socialists have been able to totally flip that in
Yeah.
just a couple three decades, few decades.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but right now Putin is making more money than he's ever made. Oil is up; they're making a killing with their oil around the world. Even the U.S. is still buying Russian oil through the back door, and so you cannot tell. So these little slaps on the hands of
Yeah,
Putin and all this other stuff, you cannot tell me, Ian, that this is just all a facade. It's all smoke and mirrors right now.
Theater.
Yeah, it's all theater, brother. And you know what scares me now? You have these same guys, these globalists, talking about the U.S. has to send troops in there. That to me is a scary thing because Putin is a man of his word.
Yeah.
And if he says they'll bring out the nukes if we do that, I believe him when he says it. And I can't believe our government. I mean, I know these people are nuts. I know they've lost it, but have they really lost it to that extent? That Putin is not a globalist. Putin will never be a globalist. Neither will Xi be a globalist. They will never submit themselves to that. They will not. They will take advantage of it, but they will not come into it because they're not built for it. And we better wake up because what is being said by our government right now, when I see videos of Biden walking around with his hand out and nobody's there, when I see him trying to talk to Obama and patting him on the shoulder, and Obama, I don't know if you've seen this, Obama didn't even turn around to talk to him. And he was with Kamala Harris and a whole group of other people. None of them acknowledged him. And I thought, this is dangerous. This is dangerous. This is dangerous for Republicans. This is dangerous for Democrats, conservatives. This is dangerous for everybody. Because if those people in the White House don't respect him, then something else is going on there. Smoke and mirrors, a theater, and we got to ask who's really running the country.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, what I urge listeners to do is to go to DC and, hey, you want to get involved in politics, demand transparency behind the Federal Reserve, right? So if you follow the money, that usually we find truth in following the money in the Federal Reserve. I don't know if you might be familiar with this, Michael. I just learned this the other day that under Janet Yellen and the Biden administration, the Federal Reserve Bank has now been given total reins over perpetually. So there's no end in sight. There's no contract limit to BlackRock. So BlackRock now has complete control over the Federal Reserve. I didn't know that. That's what I was told. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but that's a real scary proposition, considering the fact the Federal Reserve the argument against the Federal Reserve is that it's not even constitutional.
Yeah. Well, not only that, I mean, I haven't heard anything on that. I'll have to take a look into it. But, honestly, um, we got to get back to being a constitutional country and back to being a republic the way we were originally created to be. And we do have that in our favor. And that nullifies all this other stuff that has been going on. I mean, we just got to get back to what, this country. I think, you can have your opinion on Donald Trump one way or the other, but under Donald Trump, this country thrived. Under Donald Trump, this country was successful. We were come on. Now we're importing oil when we were exporting it. Don't give me your green tree thing, for the tree huggers. We're still bringing in oil. And if we shut down oil, anything that's plastic, I mean, oil affects so many things. There's very few things about our cars. You can just not be stupid enough to think that this is not going to have an effect on us. And if the price of gas goes up another few dollars, it's going to be impossible for the average man on the street. Many people are having a very hard time with this right now. That extra few bucks, out of people's pockets every week is less food in their mouth. And I think we are going to see. I was listening to Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon said there's coming a very serious backlash to the Democratic Party. Even Democrats, I mean, when I say the Democratic Party anymore, I've learned that I don't even like saying that, because you have the largest part of the Democratic Party is more conservative than we realize. It's a few people that are the extremists on the far end of it. And when I hear guys like Bill Maher, who is extremely political in his views, saying, I'm done with the Democratic Party. It has moved, and people are hammering him about it. And he's saying, I haven't moved. You guys moved, right? So you have this small fringe of people within the Democratic Party that are saying enough, that they're trying to push their own agenda, but you have a large part of that party saying, we've had enough. We don't know who you guys are. And so they relate more to the conservative side. And, you know, that's what the Democratic Party is doing by opening the borders. You have now Democrat leaders saying, we got to close the borders, we got to put the fence up. Democrats are saying that, not Republicans, Democrats. Why? Is because they're realizing what's coming. And I don't think and when it happens, Ian, I don't think they're going to be able to repair it for decades, because people are going to see what happened with these people. And one thing about American people, one thing I see in our wars, and when we go to war, we're fighters. And people are going to say, you know what? I seen what you did. I seen what you tried to do to my kids, how you tried to change my kids and pervert my family. And guess what? I have not forgot about it, and I will not forget about it. And you're not going to destroy my country. And if you don't like this country, there's many other countries you can go and help them that will receive you. Communistic countries, and you can try to make them better. And we'll see. If when you're done with them, they're not going to look like Detroit and now Los Angeles. It's been These people have been destructive. Oregon, they've destroyed cities. Those cities look like third world nations now. And people need to go and just take a look at that, and then go to third world countries. If you have not been out of this country, which I've been to over 70 nations, you would come back and kiss the ground here and say, thank you, Lord, that you created this nation to be a beacon to the rest of the world. I don't want to change it. I want to see it do what it was created to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pastor Michael Petro. Michael, thank you for joining Discuss Your Truth. So I want you to give some parting words for listeners, and of course direct them to any website that you like, or social media feed, whatever you like. But some closing and final words that listeners can walk away with.
Yeah, for those of you that are out there that you hear Ian talking about it, you hear what's going on. You need to start researching. You need to start studying. You need to get out of the meal of CNN and those type of people, because many others are. There is a revolution happening in our country right now in the media, and you need to wake up to it. And when I say a revolution, I mean people are seeing what's going on and seeing what's happening, and they are revolting from that false narrative and seeking out truth. And I know it can sound scary. I know a lot of things that are going on sound really terrible. If we're going to get out, how can we get out of it? But you have to realize there's only a few people that are in control that are doing this, and we have numbers on our side. Amen. And if you want to get a hold of us or send us some information or one prayer, or saying, Pastor, how can we get onto some of these sites like Ian's? Is there more news out there? You better believe it is. There's a whole movement that's moving. Epic Times, I love these guys. I didn't know this, but the guy that owns it, I just met him this past week. He's from communist China, and he said he doesn't want to see what happened in China happen here. But again, if you want to get a hold of us, or just send us an email, you can even call us, but email is better. You get on our website, voh.church, or you can get a hold of us at VOH Radio, Rumble, Band Radio. We're on the band channel. Anything, Michael Joe Petro on Instagram. My last name's Petro. Hallelujah, like the rock. Middle name Joe, J-O. My mother wanted not J-O-E, a man's name. My mother wanted a little bit of her name in my heart, which was Josephine. So, I guess that's that's all the further on my feminine side that I'll go. So, hallelujah. But for anybody, don't get discouraged. We're very close to watching a flip, and they're afraid of it. They're afraid of us. They're afraid of your Christian values, your Christian principles. And the last time I checked, the greater numbers win, and we got them beat 20-1, and probably even more 50-1. So don't give up the fight. Just get into it, and that's the important thing. Get your friends, get your Christian friends, rally them, get them together, get them to the school board meetings, get them to the city meetings, even at that level, Congress, whatever you can do. Talk to your congressmen, your senators. They're listening, because when I get them hold of them on my show, I really start digging in, and I tell them, hey, this is who I represent. They listen. And believe me, we've been on a lot. They are all for us. And even, if you hold the Democrats accountable, they can't do the Democratic Party accountable. They can't really fight you. So it just needs you to get out there. And that's why they scream so hard. That's why they push back so hard. They're like a chihuahua in a corner, and we need to come out and start fighting it.
Don't you ever allow your church buildings to close.
Yes, definitely.
Michael, thank you again, Michael Petro, ladies and gentlemen, and Michael, keep up the good work.
Amen. We want to get you on also. We love what you're doing. Please, let's do something together in the future.
All right, sounds good.
God bless your people.
That's Michael Petro. I mispronounced his name, and I think I said Petro. So Petro, and look, I mean, folks, this is the principle. I don't get into religion. I choose not to, but yeah, I align that as well. There's a parallel. I've never joined the military. I purposely didn't join the military because I believe violence is a very weak form of resolution. I simply do. However, with that said, I support the Second Amendment, and I will support the most massive defense or army that has ever been accumulated on the planet, and that is the United States military that is right now being dismantled. So if it requires then the people, you, me, to organize and defend the Constitution at all costs, then that's what it has. That's what it means, folks. That's what it means. That's what it means. That's what it means. That's what means it's going to take. Okay, that didn't make sense. I didn't formulate that sentence properly. But that is what it will mean. That's the meaning of what it will take. Okay, to defend the Constitution and give me liberty, or give me death. And that is how I approach discussions of truth. And that is how I urge you to approach your response to any type of tyrannical overreach by your government. I'm not suggesting violence. I'm not. But the mere fact that you exercise or make the choice to exercise your constitutional right of Second Amendment. I mean, I'm in a constitutionally free or a constitutionally supported state. Okay, in that regards to the right to bear arms. That is your right. It is your right to bear arms. It is your right to self-defense. Okay. Now, joining the military from the ages that I was considering joining the military meant not really self-defense. It meant being an aggressor globally, which I didn't agree with. I didn't agree with aggressing the way Bush took the military into Iraq. I didn't believe with that, and I didn't believe it going in Afghanistan. I didn't believe in that. As it followed the money, I figured this was all about natural resources, and really, was that trickling down to the best representation of America and her qualities and her constitutional values? No, again, Pastor here, we've stated this. The foundation of this country, the pure foundation of this country, is the ability, the inalienable right that every human being has to preach and practice and praise whatever God is, and whatever that means to you, and to do that and give you that right to do that peacefully, without any combination of church and state. And so that is the principle upon which the settlers in New England arrived in it was the 1630s. Okay, so so this is fundamental, folks. This is fundamental. This is how the system was built. This is how the system must be sustained and supported, in that everybody has the right to freely, peacefully practice their whatever their interpretation of God is. And if the person doesn't want to practice or preach or acknowledge that a God exists, that is their right. That is their inalienable right. But as the keystone, right? The keystone, if you will, I suppose, in God we trust. That is what the country has been built around. Um, and when the government reaches over that and tells you, "Oh no, this virus can be passed if you don't wear a mask, and if you do sit too close to your fellow person, and yet we're going to close down all church buildings." Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! That is a total oxymoron. Okay, that is completely redundant. That completely goes against everything that worked up to the writing and creation of that Constitution, based off of freedom of religion, which is what the Protestants aboard that Mayflower set sail from. I think it was Dartmouth. I think it made 3 stops on that island before it crossed the Atlantic. So with that said, the key form of defense. Again, I'm talking defense, and I'm not talking being the aggressor and going over across the sea to take over somebody's oil field. I'm talking about defending your constitution. I'm talking about your right to form a political party based off of your beliefs, i.e., the Democrat Party or the Republican Party or the Green Party or whatever party it may be. Um, the most recent time I voted under my own party. I wrote in my own party in that ballot. It was my own party. I call it the Hamiltonian Party. It's my middle name. That's how I voted. It was a Hamiltonian Party. That's a fact. But that right to bear arms, that right to your Second Amendment, is what is keeping this tyrant. And you'll read it in my book. When you read my book, you can pre-order it right now. Type in Ian Trottier, No More Lies. You can pre-order it. Book's $1 million. I don't think it's currently on Amazon. It's listed on Amazon, but I don't think available to order on Amazon. This is right now in my possession. I just got it back from the editor. I'm going to be sending it to the printing press here shortly. Trying Day Publishing. So this will be coming out here in a few weeks. And what you'll find in that book, 5 years worth of research that I've accumulated from when I began my activism in 2016 because of the Zika virus, and it happened to be my best friend at the time, who's no longer with us, a gay Jewish man that got me involved in this. It is your right to bear arms that is keeping this European tyrant. Again, you'll find that definition through my research of what I believe that is. You will find that it is your right to arm yourself that is keeping them at bay. Once you agree to giving up that right to bear arms, if you do, that is when you'll have no defense. Obviously, right? That's when you'll sink your ship. Not going to happen. My personal watch, and I urge you to continue in your efforts. Should the words resonate with you. Again, this is like Larry Klayman said, and like Judy Mikovits both said on this program, and even former CIA operative that has said this on the show. We need, and you just heard Pastor Pietro say it. We not only the 3 previous times it's been mentioned here on Discussion of Truth is that America needs a revolution, and nonviolent. And now what Pietro's just said is that it is experiencing one. And I believe he is accurate. Right now, because of people like Servando Gonzalez, who I've mentioned, educated at the University of Havana, living in the United States, people of these Latin American origins are saying, hey, America, wake up. The writing's on the wall. You have been invaded by a communist regime, and it is actively taking over your government. Boom. So, um, so, so what is the communism? Well, in my view, yes, it's a philosophical approach to governance, but what it comes down to is controlling your economy. It's a centralized form of banking, in my view, and it stems from the Roman Empire and the elements of that continues to survive through things like the Federal Reserve Bank, which is regulated by the Bank of International Settlements out of Switzerland. This is all fact. This is all cross-check. Prove me wrong. This is all fact. So again, as an American, you can come back and you can sit back and you can say, well, you know what? I've inherited a document which gives me the most freedom any government has ever given man, if you will, through the history of civilization. Um, and I'm going to defend that Constitution. I'm going to defend that document. And I have the right to bear arms. And should you decide to actively portray that right, and what I was saying is I'm currently in a constitutional carry state. Uh, the fact that you see a person with a gun per se on their hip, that is a deterrent. Whether it is, oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna take that person's piece of jewelry, or I'm gonna take that person's watch, or I think I can get away with a carjacking here, or whatever it might be. Should there be theft or whatever it might be, or I've said this some person says something that's just upset me. I'm gonna start a conflict. Well, if that person has got a gun on their hip, you're gonna think twice about it. That's just the way it is. Oh, the argument is, oh well, that person could snap mentally and shoot an innocent person. Well, uh, that wait. So there weren't mentally ill people during the time of the Constitution. Of course there were. Absolutely there were. So you got to defend that right that you have through your Philadelphia Continental Congress product, which is the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, Constitution. You have that right. It is fully your right. Exercise it. And if it's not acknowledged, and if you're unable to do it in your state, I'm not sure which states are constitutional carry, which are, which aren't, then you need to write to your governor right now, and you need to demand that you are given that right. Because I like, for instance, California is definitely not a constitutional carry state. New York, I would assume, is as well. It's not going to. I have to see a list of which are and which aren't. But I know Texas now is. Uh, and I believe maybe Florida. Again, I'm not sure, but you need to, if you're interested, you need to definitely scope that out. The other thing I urge you to consider is the definition of a constitutional sheriff, because your sheriff has the ability to supersede the power of the governor. He basically is the governor of his county or her county, and can override things like lockdowns, can override things like mask mandates, can override things like a hindrance on your constitutional right to bear arms. That's my understanding. I may be wrong, I may be off in that, but that is my understanding of what the power, because he's an elected official, or she's an elected official. The seat is an elected seat. The sheriff has that type of legislative power to do that, to override that of a governor. Um, that's my understanding. Double check that. Look into it. And again, as I wind down, I'm going to bring on JP Linstroth again here in a few days. I I am so busy right now, folks. I am so busy. Um, I've got phone call after phone call. I've got this book that I'm trying to wrap up. I've got my 95, of course. Um, it's really a great thing to see what is happening in this country, because I do agree with Michael there. People are coming together. People are uniting. I mean, I am now meeting people that are crossing paths, whereas they know exactly what's happening. And this isn't about a political party. Okay, this is about your right to practice your constitutional freedoms. So your enemy is not the Democratic Party. Your enemy is not the Republican Party. Your enemy, folks, is this cabal. Okay, which is a banking cabal, a centralized banking cabal, which is European based. They flourish out of the creation of Switzerland. That is your enemy, folks, because they are doing everything they can to destroy your country from within and its constitution. But once you lose those rights, uh, good luck getting them back, because I don't think you're going to be getting them back within your lifetime. And if you're going to be fighting for your kid's lifetime, you need to ratchet that up. You need to ratchet that fight up now and intensify that by a large amount, like 1,000%, because we're playing a little bit of catch up here. Um, playing a little bit of catch up. But things are happening, and Americans are incredibly resilient. The country wouldn't exist if they didn't have that resolution within them. So America really is the beacon of freedom. It remains the beacon of freedom for the world. Um, it just so happens, yes, that you do need to identify the enemy as, in my opinion, communism. These are socialist policies that are being pushed through to create that centralized system of control, and it is, make no mistake, it is communism. It's a byproduct of Karl Marx and the really the philosophical influences that led to his influence. And he was based in New York as a colonist for what was it, maybe 10 years, something like that, which you probably didn't realize that Karl Marx actually lived in the United States. So identify what the enemy is. I believe I helped paint that picture for you through Freedom Reserve, No More Lies, which you can pre-order right now at Books a Million, um, and it should be the press here in a few weeks. I'm going to close out. I'm going to close out now. It's coming up on 5.5 years of doing this show. 5.5 years. 5.5 years. 5.5 years. I never thought I'd be doing anything like this. I was invited to do it. Someone asked me. Kitty was her name, as a matter of fact. That's how she identified herself. I don't know if that was her real name or not, but Kitty asked me to go into Winwood Radio in probably October or November of 2016. My first show was January 4th, I think it was 2017. So the inception of this show started fall of 2016, and of course I accepted her invitation and been doing it ever since. Coming up again, as I've said, 5.5 years. So the three products that I want you to consider incorporating into your daily regime, into your daily health practice, if you will, or daily lifestyle, um, are and catch my episode of a few days ago with Inessa, as she Nessa's hemp. Nessa's hemp is it sounds like a marvelous product. I haven't tried it yet, but Nessa's hemp is another product that sounds like is wonderful to contribute to your health. If you go to iantrottier.com, INTROTTIER.com, go to Ian Trottier and patron Mike Lindell. This guy had his bank accounts. This guy has bank accounts. We're talking. This guy's a multimillionaire, right? A multimillionaire. He built this business up from nothing. I think the guy was, I don't know if he was homeless or poor, or he was a drug addict. One of them, or all of them. I'm not sure what it was, but the guy built himself. It's incredible business, um, and millions of dollars circulating through the system of this bank. I think it was the Minneapolis or Minnesota Bank and Trust, one of the two, Bank and Trust, and they close his accounts because he suggested, through based off of his research and evidence, that the election was rigged. Well, isn't that his right? How can that not be his right? This is, I mean, the cancel culture at its finest. Give me a break. They are willing to close this man's bank accounts because it was so offensive. Sticks and stones, folks, but words. When you have some emotional intelligence about you. Yeah, right. So anyway, so this guy had his bank accounts closed. Buy a my pillow. Help the guy out. Help this business flourish. Help this business grow. I mean, it's comical. It's just comical. It's comical to me how some of these people react till they're so offended. Give me a break. Yeah, give me a break. I mean, oh, and by the way, use promo code Trottier, Trottier. Use promo code Trottier. Get a very healthy discount on your order. And here's the other product I'd like you to check out. It's called Provision, GSH. This has got over 20 different antioxidant, proprietary blend antioxidant power ingredients in it, and this is a really great product. You'll find that on my website. And thirdly, I've mentioned again, I mentioned at the beginning of the broadcast, my Chronic Silver, folks. So it's an all natural health product made right here in the United States. Um, Use promo code on that. There's no promo code for Provision. But of course, if you purchase a bottle, I do get a portion of that does benefit Discuss Your Truth. Um, helps in operational costs. Uh, but I don't have a promo code for you. Promo code for my pillow and promo code for my chronic silver. My chronic silver, use again Trottier for either one of those to get a discount. Um, if this message is resonating with you, if you got to this point in the podcast, you're saying, okay, this guy's making sense to me. I need to do something. If you do nothing else, do this one thing: send it to a friend. Encourage your friend to listen to the podcast. My words. Okay. If you want to do something above that, order one of these products. Okay. Because by ordering one of these products, you're helping not only me, but you're helping the individuals uh, that are running the business, that are helping in the operational procedures of the business, and you're helping, of course, the people, um, the other people that are purchasing the product. So it works together in that way. Now, if you want to help a third time, buy my book. Those are about a tie for number two. Buy my book. Pre-order the book right now. Ian Trottier, No More Lies. Pre-order the book. Book's a million. So I'll give you a fourth. I'll give you a fourth. If you're doing well and you want to help even more, then donate to the program. Donate to the program. Um, I live very meagerly. Okay, and I do this. I do this not because I get paid. I do this because information needs to get out. So the most important thing you can do is move the message forward. Pass it on to a friend. If you want to get involved in financials, get involved in financials and any of those other three layers. But I frankly don't care if you get involved in financials. I've had very little financial support. There has been some, and I've been very grateful for it. I typically don't like to ask for it because I'm going to do this regardless. I'm gonna do this program for you, um, as long as I have a heart that beats and air that circulates through the lungs. I will. I don't do this for money. I do not do this for money. I do this because the country has been invaded and we need to root the enemy out. The only way we're going to do that is if more and more of us realize what's happening. Okay, uh, that's why I do this. I do this for my freedom. I do this for our freedom, and I do this for our kids' freedom. So you're looking at freedom globally right now because the tyrant is moving quickly, moving very quickly. So I don't do this for money, and I'm not going to stop. I will never stop doing this. I simply will not stop doing this. Now, um, what I mean by this, speaking, speaking freely, exposing and presenting my research. I simply will never stop. I ran for Senate seat in Florida. I may do that again. I may get involved in politics again. Okay. I Right now, Louis Gohmert should be speaking, or maybe wrapped up by now, on Capitol Hill, presenting his support of a guy named Jason Fick. I have recently worked with Zach Voorhees, the Google whistleblower, helping him launch his platform, which is the alternative. He calls it an alternative. I call it competition to YouTube. Um, and it's called blast.video, BLAST.video. We all can make a difference. We all make a difference. The fact that you may go to a town hall meeting, which I've been to, and you may stand up and voice your opinion, you're making a difference. The fact that you may invite a neighbor or a family member to a simple debate, if it has to be debate, do debate, but a simple presentation of your research and asking them to consider the research. You're doing your part. Um, if you want to ratchet it up, write to mainstream media, write to Tucker Carlson, write to uh, some of these other people like Anderson Cooper. Write these people and say, hey, I want you to start talking about this. I want you to report on this. Okay, force them to give, force them to give proper and straight and truthful, direct news that's going to call Americans to action. Force them to do that for you. Don't leave that to the decision makers in the boardrooms that only make decisions that benefit their bank accounts. Okay, because the Constitution is not a bank account. The Constitution is a governing document. All right, it's priceless. In other words, there's no price tag. You cannot sell. You cannot sell that. We're not selling. We're not sellouts here. Okay, we don't sell. Twitter, Twitter folks, are they sellouts? Sounds like they might be sellouts. I don't know. But the purchase by Elon Musk seems like a good thing. if he's going to support freedom of speech. But that means, Elon, that means no banning, no taking down anybody's account. You let people freely say what they want to say. That's what that means. As soon as Elon Musk's, if he does, starts taking down people's accounts or censoring what a socialist or a communist may say, I'm going to have a problem with Twitter. Okay, you buy Twitter to make it a free speech platform, then that means you let people speak their mind freely. Yeah. And if there's a if there's a legal or a criminal type issue being tweeted, then you let law enforcement take care of that. But don't say, oh, you can't see this. I guess there's limitations to it, but banning, for instance, if you suspend the account of Joe Biden or whatever, just to kind of retaliate, then that's wrong. That's wrong. So get involved in any way you can. Most importantly, I'm going to repeat it. Most importantly, pass the message forward. Send it to a friend. Invite a friend to listen to it. Okay, let the friend make the decision to listen to it or not. But move it forward. That's the most important thing you can do. Like I said, I'm going to do this whether you move it forward or not. I'm going to do this whether you contribute or not. I'm going to do this whether you purchase a My Pillow or a Provision supplement, or whether you purchase my Chronic Silver. I'm going to continue doing this uh, regardless, because I started doing this with, yeah. You talk about support. I mean, Pietro said talking about the people that were so vehemently opposed to what he was talking about. When I started doing this, 2016, I started doing this. It was people like G. Edward Griffin, Dr. Tenpenny, that were so way out there. Like they were just like totally far fetched, crazy lunatics, conspiracy theorists. And maybe that's how you think of these people as well. I mean, G. Edward Griffin is talking about this stuff in the 60s. I base all of my research off a guy named Anthony Sutton. So I became, and J. Edgar Griffin is a past guest on the show. I became familiar with the work of J. Edgar Griffin and the Creature from Jekyll Island after I had read some of Sutton's material. But people like this, and Sutton has been passed away now for 20 years. But people like this that were fringe are now becoming mainstream, depending on what you allow, what you allow your information source to be. A guy like a Dr. Artis. I mean, thank goodness for men like this. There's so many great warriors now that have come out against this regime that is encroaching in its tentacles in the American public. This is nothing new, though. This is nothing new. I encourage you to get the book, because I go historically. I take a very historical approach here to that, and it makes a lot of sense. But when I started, I got zero support. And matter of fact, the guy that is the reason I started doing this, David, the gay Jew guy, who is one of my best friends I've ever had, um, he didn't even support the work. Yeah, he didn't. He wasn't opposed to it. He just said, "Oh, yeah, and it's a little too far for me to even consider." But as he got closer, as I kept doing it, he says, "Oh, well, okay, well, you're passionate about it. There's a reason you're doing this. Maybe I'll try to help you out." He committed suicide, unfortunately, fall of 2019, October. So it was just a few months before the pandemic came about. And anyway, he was a really sweet guy, really nice guy, very gentleman he was. But even him wasn't supporting me. I had very, very, very little support in the early days, folks. Very little support. There was a woman with vaccine injured children up in Canada that supported me, and then there was another individual, also vaccine injured, in Florida that supported me. But those are the two people coming to my mind that supported me. Outside of that, I didn't get any support. Now I've got quite a few people that support me and get what I'm talking about. And why? Because it's all factual. You can cross check it. You can cross reference it. It's all based off facts, folks. It's all facts, not theory. Now there is theory to consider, but the theory is the philosophical approach to governance. That's where the theory comes into place. Okay, and that's why you got to trace back your roots. You gotta go back decades, centuries. The Athenians, the Athenians, Plato, Socrates, these people were theorizing philosophically about how to best operate a government that represented the will of the majority. Right. That's how we inherited this democratic republic. This democratic republic your practice today, right? Not from Rome. So buy the book. Got to get a my pillow, please, um, and get some my chronic silver. Until next time, folks. Thanks for listening. Move the message forward and be awesome.